So, have you heard the term the sassy man apocalypse? If you're not familiar with that, there's a belief that that men today are acting what some may consider very feminine, very sassy, so to speak, and reversing a lot of the roles that what some would feel are traditional roles. These men want to reverse it, and they want to be treated like princesses and all these things. Now, I think the whole thing is very overblown. Sometimes they're being mislabeled, all right, in some situations. I'll acknowledge that there's some circumstances or some scenarios where I've watched some videos, let's say on TikTok, and I thought to myself, he's a little sassy. If I'm being honest, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying that's fair. I'm just saying even I have had those thoughts before, right? And I think one of the things that I have heard that women have called men sassy for is the idea that women should be chasing them, right? And some of you may be experiencing that, where these men now feel like, no, they're the prize. You should be chasing them. You need to show them that you're serious. Now, let me make clear. I don't believe in chasing, period. I don't believe men should be chasing women. I don't believe women should be chasing men. I believe two people should be making a mutual effort to build a healthy, happy relationship. And both have to respect and honor the value of the other, okay? But I understand, and when I say understand, when I say I agree, I understand why some are developing the mentality that a woman should chase the man. And I want to help break this down for you ladies because one, again, I want to stress, this is not how the majority of men think. Do not let the internet fool you. The internet has a way of making the minority look like the majority, all right? And overhyping certain things. I can tell you as someone, I get approached a lot when I'm in the gym, in the street, whatever. And believe it or not, the majority of people, even though my audiences online are majority women, at least as far as followers and subscribers, the majority of people who approach me in the street are men. All right. Men who are thanking me, men encouraging me, saying, man, keep doing what you do. Your videos are helping me. They help my relationship. They help me through this breakup, so on and so forth. So, I want women to know that because I think women sometimes think these men aren't getting help or they're not seeking guidance. They are. A lot of them are. They're just less vocal about it. They may not necessarily follow, subscribe, but they watch. Okay. And they're watching more in silence. But these same men who talk to me, I can tell you that the vast majority of them aren't talking about a woman needs to chase them. So it's not as prevalent as some would think. There's a reason why it seems more prevalent than it actually is outside of the internet blowing it up. And I'm going to leave that to the very end to explain that I need you to listen to because it's extremely important. However, it is happening to some degree. And I want you to not one of the things I seek to achieve is to help both sides not view things through such a negative lens all the time. And more so, to be more specific, not to internalize some of the nonsense they're seeing, right? Because when we internalize it and we hold on to it, now it ends up festering and creating this negative energy within us that derails our dating and relationship experiences, okay? I want you to be able to see this on a deeper level, right? To understand it, but again, in no way am I telling you to embrace actually chasing a man. But let's get to some of the reasons why modern men today expect women to chase them. And one of the top reasons is because it's simply a defense mechanism. And I think it's very important we start there because the reality is, and ladies, you know I love y'all, but a lot of these reasons will apply to you too. The whole you have to chase me mindset, for a lot of people, it's a defense mechanism because it stems from, I'm tired of putting myself out there. I'm tired of making an effort and not getting what I'm looking for in return. I'm tired of being taken advantage of. And so to now avoid that from happening, you got to chase me. You have to show me you're serious enough before I can take you serious or pour back into you. And that's just a means of protection. It is a wall up. It is a wall up because you don't want to get hurt. So a lot of these men have been hurt, have been used, have been played. And so now it is easier to say you have to chase me, which also takes the responsibility away from them having to put the work in, having to show up in a certain kind of way, and says, no, it's on you, the other individual, to give me reason to step up first. And so when we understand this is a defense mechanism for many people, and we understand it stems from past hurts and traumas that have not been resolved, it speaks to the fact that many people just need to heal. So when you hear a lot of these men talking about they need to be chased, understand, I'm not saying all of them because there's more reasons we're going to get into in a second, but many of them are just speaking from a place of hurt. And some may not want to acknowledge that and recognize it for what it is, but it's true. It's true because I can tell you this, you're going to have a very hard time finding a man who has good, positive experiences with women, who has pursued women in the past, who's over here talking about, nah, they got to be chasing me. That's not the case because his approach has done well for him. So he doesn't see a need to have to switch the roles around. He doesn't see a need to have to do things differently. He's good, plain and simple. Or as long as he's had good experiences with women, he doesn't project this negativity onto other women to where now he has to act in defense mode. So a lot of it comes from people who just have not healed. And so I encourage everyone. So if this applies to you as well as a woman, and I know for some of you it will, if you're being honest with yourself, this is why the first step to dating and relationship success is healing. You got to do the work. You got to go through that healing journey. And I'll give you a resource a little bit later on that. But the bottom line is, don't be afraid to go deeper and address the past and release it. You heal by releasing, not by suppressing. And by releasing and setting yourself free from that negative energy, you are going to set yourself up to receive better. And it's the same thing. Any man who wants to be chased watching this video, I say it to you with love and respect, man. You got to heal. You got to make sure that's not what's causing this blockage and causing you to feel like this is how it needs to be done. All right. So another reason why modern men today expect women to chase them is because they're being told that they are the prize. So this is another one of those discussions on the internet that I feel like is causing a lot of problems, all right? And I know for a lot of women, you feel like you are the prize, okay? And then now we have this issue where there's men who feel like they are the prize. Now, my stance is you are both the prize. At the end of the day, when two people can find a partner that they can be in alignment with, that they can, have a connection with and experience a great relationship with, they both won. They both received an amazing blessing. And I think it's very unhealthy, the mindset of the prize, because it tends to lead to, here's a tweet for you. When you think you're the prize, you would treat your partner like a peasant. All right? I hope that sounded good. But anyways, I just came up with it. But anyways, the point is, like, that's the risk of having that mentality, is that by saying, I am the prize, not I am a prize, because saying I am a prize it leaves room for acknowledging that the other person is a prize as well. You're both a prize for each other. But when we think we are the prize, right, that then devalues the other partner. It says, I am of greater value here. And because I am of greater value, you must work harder for me. You must do more for me. You see what I'm saying? You must put more effort than me. And that will lead to an unhealthy relationship. So a lot of men, they're being told that they're the prize now. And what's unfortunate, and what I believe is happening as well, is that a lot of the discussions on the internet, when you actually dig deeper, they're really centered on what people talking about the type of quote unquote, whether you want to call it high value man or high desirable man or whatever. They're really focused on that upper echelon of man that a lot of women desire. And so naturally, because that upper echelon of man is a rarity, is in a lower percentage than the average man, it is easy to logically explain why he would then be a prize, right? If we're looking at it from that perspective. And what then happens is a lot of men who are listening to these explanations or receiving this guidance, and I say this respectfully, a lot of them don't qualify as that, but they still internalize that message and apply it to them. So it's like, okay, these people are really talking about this certain subgroup of men, but then all the general men, the general public of men who listen to this thing, well, oh, that applies to me too. I'm the prize too. And it's like, no, you haven't achieved what that guy has achieved. Okay? You're not in that same position. But regardless of where you are, if you are the right person for someone, you are still a prize. You don't have to be in the upper echelon of guys, but I do think that that's where it's causing a lot of this confusion and a lot of this, again, unhealthy mindset. And I want to make clear, I do want men as well as women to have confidence, to understand their worth, you know what I'm saying, to believe in themselves. So I do not want to knock anyone for viewing themselves in high regard or to view themselves as a prize, but not the prize, because you gotta embrace and respect the other person you're trying to join together with. But this is a big reason why you're seeing now more men with the mentality of a woman having to chase them. And then speaking to that group of men who actually are part of that quote unquote upper echelon of men, for them, that is the thinking, is like, hey, I'm a rarity here. So because I am more rare than you, you should be chasing after me. And at the end of the day, for you as a woman, again, I'm never going to take the chase after a man. I'm just not. You know, I do think you're supposed to be willing to express your interest, your desire, all these different things. But no. You should not have to chase them. Now, before I move on to the next point, let me say this because I kind of missed mentioning this for the first point. Part of that whole it's a defense mechanism issue is also men wanting reassurance. And so some men out there, because of being played, because of being used, things of that nature, a woman chasing them gives them reassurance. The same way a lot of women wanting a man to chase them is for the purpose of reassurance that you really want me and you're serious about me. But we got to understand that when it's coming from a place of unhealthiness and lack of healing, that needs to be resolved. All right, so let's keep this thing going. And another reason why modern men today expect a woman to chase them is because they're focused on benefits, not on love. All right. So what I mean by that is this. A lot of men are choosing to reject. Well, let me back that up a little bit. Because I feel like for a long time, maybe from the beginning of time, a lot of men poorly select their partners. Okay? And specifically wives as well. And they do this because they're thinking from a very logical place and a place of the benefits they can receive rather than the love that exists there. Now, it isn't to say that love alone is how we choose who we spend our life with or who we get in a relationship with. But I am a firm believer that love has to be at the foundation of it if we're going to be successful and be able to sustain this thing over the long term. And so a lot of men, in choosing from that very logical, rational place, but void of that foundation of love, choose someone for the wrong reasons. And in also choosing someone for the wrong reasons, choose someone that they're not really into like that. They may view her as beneficial to be with, but they're not truly into this woman. And now what happens now is when you're not really into someone, when you're choosing more so from the place of benefit rather than love, then it is very easy, or it's most likely you're going to choose individuals who you view yourself as having greater value than, or you view it as she's lucky to be with me. She's lucky I chose her. And that kind of mentality pours into the idea of, well, she needs to chase me because, again, if she's lucky to have me, then she's the one that needs to be doing the extra work. She needs to be trying hard to get me. You see what I'm saying? And so what we're seeing now, I believe, and this is just one of my theories, one of my beliefs based on what I'm seeing out there today, is that a lot of men are now, you could argue that there was a time where more and more men were trying to include love in their process, but felt like they were getting burned from it now. And so now switching back to this mindset of choosing from what is just simply beneficial rather than something that has genuine love that exists there, real foundation of love. And so now that has brought forth more of this, I'm the prize and she needs to chase me and all these types of things. It pours into that even more. And so that's why you're seeing a lot of it happen. And the other reason why I say that so confidently is because when a man chooses out of love, right, and he's really into a woman, he is not going to be sitting there thinking she needs to chase me. Like that's not going to happen. If when he's choosing someone he's really into, if anything, he has to try to maybe manage himself not overdoing it. I believe that's what happens on both sides. Men and women, when they find someone they're really into and they're falling deeply for, the battle is more so not to do too much, not to go too far beyond, trying to manage all this energy and love I want to pour out. But it definitely is not them thinking, oh yeah, I found the love of my life. She's going to have to chase me. Like that's not the thought process that occurs there. So to me, anytime you see a man saying that a woman needs to chase him or is asking or expecting the woman that he's dealing with to chase him, I think if not 100%, 99.9, he's just not into her like that. That's not a woman he's in love with. That's a woman he chose out of benefit, more so out of the foundation of love. All right, so now before we continue, quickly, I told you I was going to give you a resource just in case what I mentioned earlier about the defense mechanism applies to you. And of course, to any man who might be watching this video, this is for you as well. Get my copy of the book, Love After Heartbreak. It will give you the exact steps to follow to get the healing that you need and you deserve, and that's going to be extremely beneficial for you. So please click the link in the description or in the comments section, or you can go to loveafterheartbreak.com. So now, let's get to the next point. And another reason why modern men today expect a woman to chase them is because he's just not that into you. So I mentioned it in the last point, but let's go deeper. Because what I'm seeing is when I sometimes see women online talking about these men want you to chase them, what genuinely pops into my mind many times is, oh, he just don't want to be with you. Like to me, it's as simple as that. And it's not even in some of these situations that he actually wants you to chase. He just is not serious about being with you. So let's understand the difference between the guy who, yeah, he may engage with a woman, he may have exchanged numbers with her, and understand this, a guy could do that and yet still not be serious about her. Like it may be at that moment he figured, all right, let me give this a chance. And then as time goes by, it's like, it was never really there. It's like, and if we're being honest here, this happens with women a lot too, where you may have in the moment you were willing to give someone a chance, and after a few hours, after a couple of days of thinking about it some more, you was like, I don't think I really like it. You didn't really have that energy for them, all right? But you might still entertain it if they're making an effort. You might still entertain it if you're bored. You might still entertain it if you find something beneficial. But you weren't ever really emotionally invested. And so that happens with a lot of men as well, unfortunately. And so sometimes you're not hearing from him. And you might think, oh, this man wants me to chase him. No, he's not even trying to talk to you right now. He just honestly doesn't care. He's not even trying to put forth any effort, okay? And so you got to recognize when, he's just not serious about this. And it's not about men in general. It's just this man is not serious about you. And so there may be other situations where, yes, he flat out wants you to chase him. But again, as I mentioned the previous point, him wanting you to chase still says to me, he may have some kind of interest in you, but he's not that into you. Okay, so he may like you to a certain extent. He may want to hang out with you to a certain extent, but there's no way he's really into you and falling for you and at the same time expecting you to chase him outside of just some serious trauma, need of healing. Or, let me throw this one in there, or he's playing the game. And what I mean by playing the game is, unfortunately, there are men being told to do things like ignore her, don't call her for a few days, all this different stuff to gain your interest or to keep you around or to shift the power dynamic. Even in instances where he actually does like you, but he thinks this is what he's supposed to do so that he doesn't come across weak, or he's not, he's not acting in a way that loses your respect and makes you think that you have him wrapped around your finger. So now he got to play it cool, and he starts doing all these tactics that are just unhealthy. All right. So that's one exception to the rule of a man engaging in that behavior, but actually liking you and actually being into you. He's just being guided in an unhealthy manner. Right. But at the end of the day, understand and be aware that, yes, a lot of guys just aren't serious. And because they're not serious, they'll entertain you if you're willing to put in the effort, but they're not going to give you the same energy in return. All right. So another thing to mention as a reason why modern men today expect women to chase them, a lot of it is simply a response to some women's quest for equality, all right, or society propping up the need for equality. So basically what I'm saying is some men push the whole women need to chase narrative out of the, oh, y'all want equality? All right, well then you need to do what y'all expected us to do. Oh, you want equality? Well then you need to go 50-50. Oh, you want equality? Well then you need to open our door. It's like, it's all this rebuttal and response to the push for equality. Now, again, I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just explaining that's what's going on. But that brings me to this point that I feel like I need to make. I do feel that we are putting too much emphasis, or some people are putting too much emphasis on equality rather than balance. All right. I believe that one of the keys to a healthy, successful relationship is not two people being equal, it's two people being able to balance each other out. And that balance brings forth harmony. In order for us to have balance, we have to recognize the roles that we have in that relationship, how we can complement each other, all right? How we can, where you are weak, I'm strong, and vice versa. And that's how we get to the next level with each other. But this push for equality, you do have to be mindful of that as a woman. And understand there's a difference between saying equal rights as far as, how through the government and the things that we're afforded to by being all taxpayers and all that kind of stuff. That's something different to me. But when we then transfer that into relationships and how men and women deal with each other on that level, you got to be mindful of, if you're asking for equality in all these different ways, well, then you're going to find a man who may come at you with oh, okay, well, then it's got to be equal in the other ways that you may not care for. All right. And some women don't consider that. And so, again, it's not to say wanting equality is some bad thing, so to speak, but I do think we're missing the mark when we don't put more emphasis on how do we balance each other out, and learning how to respect each other's differences, learning how to respect each other's weaks and strengths, and understanding that we are not wired the same. All right, we're just not. From a biological level, I believe from a spiritual level, from so many levels, we are not the same. Okay, we have our differences. Now, I do believe, my personal belief is that we are of all of equal value under God. Meaning, we need each other. I don't like the battle between men and women. I don't like when anyone says, well, we can do without men in this world, or we can do without women, we'll be fine. Listen, we need each other. We need each other. Together, we are an amazing force. And when we can cultivate that on personal levels, we can experience better, more beautiful unions and things of that nature. And so, we got to get to a place of stop trying to devalue and dismiss the other, right? And understand there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, in general, this thing might be a greater strength of the average woman, and this might be the greater strength of the average man. But we do recognize there's exceptions to every rule, and we have to learn each other on an individual basis. Because again, it's not just applying the general rules of the difference between men and women to create harmony. It's about learning the specific differences between, for example, me as a man and a woman that I might be with, and now how we make that work, and if we can make that work. Because at the end of the day, we're not going to fit with everybody. We can't plug and play who we want and think we're going to create this amazing relationship. Some people, most people are just not for you, and you are not for them. But there is someone that can be out there for you, that you can have an amazing relationship with. You won't have to chase them, and you better not be trying to make them chase you. Right? And you two, rather than anyone chasing, because chasing to me is like one person either standing still while the other person has to come after them. And really, chasing to me makes it sound like one person is moving away and the other person has to catch up. But what I like is two people running together towards each other, creating something amazing and experiencing a beautiful relationship. All right, now before I go, one more point I want to make, because I think some of you may still feel, you may not be convinced or completely grasping why a man having to chase you would be a bad thing, okay? And here's why, one big reason why chasing on either side is going to be a setup for disaster, is because if you start off one-sided, you're going to end up one-sided. What I mean by that is this. Let's just say it's the man chasing you, all right? Because I'm sure most of you agree with not chasing the man, but let's say it's the man chasing you. And to you, you might feel like, well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's the way it should be. Okay. What tends to happen is if he has to chase you and put forth all this effort, number one, it's very easy for a woman to get comfortable in a dynamic where it's always him having to show more effort and not recognizing what she needs to do in return, right? Not completely. But ultimately, when that man chases, he finally gets you. What happens now is for many men, the mind says, okay, I finally got her. I finally caught her. Now it's my time to reap the benefits. And in my time of reaping the benefits, the tables get turned. Now he's giving less effort because he feels like I did everything in the beginning. It's your turn. And so now it goes one-sided from him being the one doing mainly the work to where now you find yourself having to carry the load. And it never becomes this mutually balanced relationship that's going to be healthy and happy, and both people are getting poured into the way they need to be poured into. So that's one big reason why even him chasing you is typically going to be a setup for problems. Thank you for watching this video. I pray it was helpful to you. Be sure to watch this one over here on 7 reasons why men pull away when things are going good. Which leads to why you will see sometimes a man can meet a woman, get along with that woman, think she's a great woman, but that it factor is not there.